This is the Louie T Network.
In the lab room.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome. You are in the lab room. I, of course, am your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 6 in the National Football League. Huge matchup in Miami. Hey, Dolphins taking their talents back to South Beach, taking on the Green Bay Packers. Dolphins coming off of a well-needed bye after destroying the Oakland Raiders in London. A lot of questions surrounding this team. Very intrigued to see how they would respond after getting that victory, after having a week to kind of gather themselves, hit that restart button mentally as well as physically. How would this Dolphins team come back? Would they be a different football team? Would they look more impressive than they did prior to the bye? Or would they come back and have the same questions be asked after this game against the Green Bay Packers? And Packers coming in, playing some of the best football they've played all season long. Defense starting to get it going, starting to generate turnovers and give this Packers offense a short field. And the Packers starting to generate points through the passing game. Eddie Lacy finally got it going a week ago versus the Minnesota Vikings. Rodgers starting to trust Devontae Adams a little bit more. Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb getting involved offensively. They're starting to find their groove in Green Bay. A-Rod is starting to heat it up. This should be a great test. Aaron Rodgers, 0-3 all time in the state of Florida in the National Football League. So this was a big one for him. He needed to get this monkey off his back. How are the Packers going to respond? And the weather was a little mild. They were looking for it to be a little hotter in Miami. Packers caught a break. It was somewhat mild in this game. So let's talk about this matchup that turned out to be one of the most entertaining games of the entire afternoon in week 6, with which I ended up dubbing. Because of all the games that I watched and all of the things that I saw transpire, I called week 6 Statement Sunday. Each game had a statement made at its conclusion. This game was no different. A-Rod dices the Phins on the opening possession, using his legs on 3rd and 8, and then hitting 3 different receivers, including Air Jordy for a 9-yard touchdown strike. It's 7-0. Packers on top. Go, Pack, go! They're up early in this game on the road in Miami. How will the Dolphins respond? 54-yard Jarvis Landry kickoff return leads to a 48 Caleb Sturgis field goal. It's now 7-3. Packers out on top. After a wake sack on 3rd down of A-Rod, Jonathan Freeney blocks the Green Bay Packers punt. And the Phins go for it. After getting great field position, they feel like, hey, I'm feeling a little froggy here. This is some house money. We weren't supposed to be here. We blocked a punt, got this field position. Why not make it count again? I get the rationale here. I understand you're playing against Green Bay Packers. You're playing against Aaron Rodgers, a team that is highly explosive, can put up points in bunches. You want to score touchdowns. I'm with you on that. You know the mantra. You know the motto. Field goals don't win games. Touchdowns do. So I really wasn't mad at Joe Philbin. You get to the 2-yard line, you want to be able to get in and make it count for 7. The worst field goal that you could kick is a 19 or a 20-yard field goal. That means you made it all the way to the 1 or the 2-yard line and had to settle for a field goal. Nobody wants to do that, so they go for it on 4th down. Don't get it. It's turnover on downs for the Miami Dolphins. So even though you blocked the punt and you had great field position, you come away with nothing. And in hindsight, is 2020. I don't beat anyone up over hindsight. But when you look at the final score, hey, that field goal doesn't look so bad now, does it? So that's the end of the first quarter. Pack up 7-3 in this football game. You go to the second quarter. Tannehill is picked off by Casey Hayward. Great job of Casey Hayward sinking into his zone coverage, reading the eyes of the quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, allowing him to take him to the football and making a play on it. And so that sets the Pack up with great field position and leads to a Mason Crosby field goal. It's now 10-3 Packers up in this football game. Tannehill picked again, this time by Sam Shields. As we head to the halftime break, it's 10-3 Pack on top. And those two interceptions got me worried about Tannehill. Again, a lot of grumblings going into that Raiders game a couple of weeks back, into that London game. People were calling for Ryan Tannehill to be benched. Remember, it's been 3 weeks ago where the headlines in Miami, is it time for a change at the quarterback position? Is it time for a change with the coaching staff? There are a lot of questions swirling around this team going into that Raiders game. They got well against the Raiders. They went on a bye, so everything seems to be somewhat better in Miami. But after that first half, I was a little nervous that if things continued down this path in this game, we will find ourselves asking those same questions about Ryan Tannehill. Some questions that I think are unjustified. Again, I feel like he's still a young guy in his career that needs to be given every opportunity to make it happen. He's a first-round selection. It seems like everybody is so hell-bent on getting instant gratification from draft picks these days. You want the Russell Wilson effect. You want that kind of payback and dividends yielded from your draft pick. But everyone isn't sporting a Seattle Seahawks defense. Everybody isn't supporting and giving their quarterback a supporting cast or a running game like the Seattle Seahawks are providing Russell Wilson. So you can't expect those type of results if you don't have the type of system and the type of players and the type of results around that quarterback like you get with a Russell Wilson. So I think it's a situation where you're just like, hey, everybody, pump your brakes, slow down. What's the rush? Yes, you want results. He's in his third season. You want him to play better. Give him some more time. You spent a number 7 overall selection on this kid. Give him a chance to prove to you that that was a warranted pick. Yes, you want to see improvement. Yes, you want to see him get better as a passer of the football, make better decisions, not turn it over. But build everything up around him, and if he can't get it done, then you find someone else that can. But in the meantime, allow the guy. What are you going to do? Are you going to turn the team over to Matt Moore? Come on, stop it. We know what Matt Moore is. Let Ryan Tannehill play. So I was hoping the second half was going to be much better than the first. And Ryan Tannehill obliged in the second half. And so we move to the third quarter. Ryan Tannehill and this is something I want to see him do more of, because I think a lot of people forget, at Texas A&M, before he was a quarterback, he was a wide receiver. The kid can run. I want to see him do more of that. Use your wheels, man. You got some. You're a 4'6", 40 guy. Use your wheels. You can run in this league. I've seen guys much slower than you attempt to run around and make plays with their legs. You can do it. You have a lot of athleticism. Sometimes I get frustrated with him because he takes sacks. They're unnecessary. You don't like what you see? Go much faster than slow. Don't stand there and take sacks. Use your wheels. Get out of there. And here's a huge example of what he could do if he just decided to tuck the football and run more often than not. 40-yard run for Ryan Tannehill, a huge gain. And he went to the halftime break, the leader, and had the biggest run from scrimmage, and that 40-yard run was the biggest run from scrimmage for the Dolphins in this game. And you add that run with a pass interference on Devon House, leads to a Jarvis Landry 11-yard touchdown catch. It's 10-all, and congratulations to Jarvis Landry for his first NFL touchdown. Congratulations to him, and he's going to figure into the grand scheme of things in Miami as a huge part of this offense. And he was huge in this game. I thought he made some big plays. I'll talk about him a little bit later on with the catch that he makes. He had a huge kickoff return, has had a bigger one earlier in the season. So he's having an impact on his team. Like to see his role expand a little bit because this kid can get it done. It's now 10-all. And you see what happens when you use your legs? Things happen. You open up avenues for everybody. It's now 10-all in this football game. 13-play, 80-yard drive that ate up 8 minutes. Let me say that again. 13-play, 80-yard, 8-minute and 27-second touchdown drive capped off by a A-Rod to Randall Cobb 5-yard touchdown grab. It is now 17-10. They even went for it. And I don't know if this is arrogance, if this is confidence. I don't know what it is. The defense was playing good up until the second half, but to go for it, 4th and 1 from midfield, woo! Scare money don't make money. Kiss the dice and roll them. But man, was that a little risque or what? I didn't know if I would have done that. I might have punted the football. But hey, when you got A-Rod as your quarterback and you got all of these guys that you trust out there, whether it's Eddie Lacy or the offensive line, whatever the case may be, you got A-Rod on the center. I get it, man. When number 12 is your guy pulling the trigger, I feel confident doing some things outside of the box as well. But hey, midfield, 4th and 1, tied ball game in the third quarter. I don't know about that, but it proved to work for this Packers offense as they were able to cap off the drive, pick up that 4th and 1, first of all, and then move it down the field and make it count for 7. That was a lengthy drive, 13 plays, 80 yards, 8 minutes and 27 seconds. That is huge. So that takes us to the fourth quarter. And man, what a finish this game had in store for us as the Pack are up 17-10 heading into the fourth quarter. Phins respond with a run-dominant drive, including a Lamar Miller 9-yard touchdown. It's 17-all, and they really started to wear this Packers defense down. Later on in the game, you could see that the run was starting to have the intended effect that they were looking for. Early on in the football game, Lamar Miller was starting to get chunks, and they were starting to loosen some things up in this. And yeah, it always helps when guys start going down with injuries. First, the Packers lose Sam Shield. Then they lose Tramon Williams at the cornerback positions. And, you know, when you get big runs, when you get chunk plays out in the run game, a lot of times those corners aren't doing their job. They're not making tackles. So especially when you get out on the edge. And the Dolphins were running the football very effectively in the fourth quarter especially. And so that was a huge drive. Got it back to 17-all. Ryan Tannehill showing moxie. Brad Jones can't corral Lamar Miller on 3rd and 1. They throw a dump pass out into the flats on a swing route, and Lamar Miller gets out there, catches the football, isn't able to make the tackle, is Brad Jones. And look, the good teams, they tackle guys. They get people down on the ground. That's what they do. And he could not tackle Lamar Miller. He picks up 20 yards down the sideline. Again, that was 3rd and 1. So if he tackles him, it's 4th down. Instead, he gets away and is able to pick up a huge gain on the play. Then Jarvis Landry for 21 yards on a crosser. And again, I said he's going to end up being a huge part of this offense when it's all said and done. He's dragging across the field. Tannehill finds him as he gets the football. He goes up the field and makes a huge play. And this kid runs tough. 21 yards on that crosser. Then Tannehill extends the play. And Aaron Rodgers had done this a couple of times in the game, and they may mention it during the telecast. But Tannehill extends the play, is able to buy some time, step up in the pocket. They're reaching for the football. He's able to show strength in the pocket and pocket mobility to slide up, extends the play, and finds 60 minutes in the end zone for a 5-yard touchdown. That was a huge play. At the time, it seemed like that would be the go-ahead game-winning score. It's now 24-17. Miami Dolphins assume the lead. Tannehill and this offensive attack has been lights out since the second half has commenced. They've had 3 possessions in the second half. All 3 have led to Dolphin touchdowns. So they were razor sharp. And laser-like focus for this Dolphins offense. Wow. Let me start with the puns, man. It's 24-17 Dolphins up in this game. Pack drive the football down the field, but can only muster a field goal. And so the deficit is now 4, but the Dolphins are still ahead 24-20 in this game. Then this was a magnificent finish to the game. And let me first call out the Dolphins for their play calling at the end of this game. They're moving the football. They've got the ball with a chance to put this game away. 1 first down wins you the game. Packers have 3 timeouts. They ice their first 2. And, of course, you want the Packers to use their timeouts. But this wasn't a situation where you're going to run the football and force the Packers to use their timeouts. I believe the Packers only had 2 timeouts. And that last play that they ran was going to get the football or the clock down to the 2-minute warning, and then you would punt. Why are you being conservative? It's 2 minutes left in this game. plenty of time for A-Rod to get the football and drive the length of the field, even if it's 97 yards. You give him 2 minutes, what do you think he's going to do, even if he doesn't have any timeouts? To me, the play call there was to try to get the first down and win the game. Not to be conservative, run it 3 times, force the Packers to use their timeouts, and give them the football back with no timeouts. There was plenty of time. It'd be one thing if you were running the ball and you knew you were going to have to punt and you were giving the Packers back the football with, say, 37 seconds left and they got to drive the length of the field. That's totally different. But to get them the football back with just a shade under 2 minutes left, no timeouts, who cares? That's plenty of time for any team in this league to score a touchdown. I thought the play calling was conservative, and it was a loser's mentality at the end of this football game. Winners win and losers lose, and that was a loser's call. That was a team playing not to lose instead of to win the football game, and the end result was a loss, unfortunately, for the Miami Dolphins. As A-Rod hits Jordy Nelson, Air Jordy for an 18, and this was the play of the game right here. 18 yards on 4th and 10. Pressure in his face. Rodgers staring down the gun barrel, knows he's going to take a shot, hits Jordy Nelson on and out. The defender slips down on the play, and I don't know if the cornerback would have been able to make a play on the football now. I don't know if Brent Grimes makes a play there or not, but he didn't get a chance to as he fell down. Jordy Nelson able to catch it, turn up the field, get 18, and get out of bounds, so they also were able to stop the clock. Then he hits James Starks. This was huge as well. On 3rd and 10, James Starks catches the football, is able to make a guy miss, turn up the field, and get 10 yards to extend the drive. And that was a huge play because it moved the sticks. And then after that, they fake a spike. In the house of Dan Marino, they fake the spike. Aaron Rodgers gets everybody going. We're going to spike it. We're going to spike it. Line up. And he goes, fake spikes, hits Devontae Adams on a hitch. And I wanted the Dolphin defender to attack at this point. He just stood there and just waited to have Devontae Adams make a move. First of all, if you attack, you force Devontae Adams to do something. Instead, you gave him a chance to think, because if you tackle him in bounds, this game might be over because the clock was already running, and anything in bounds with about 14 seconds left, which is what happened when Aaron Rodgers threw that football, which is how much time was left. Anything in bounds at that point, that might be the ball game. But instead, you stood there, waited on your heels instead of attacking. Devontae Adams then was able to give a shimmy shake move, get to the outside, twirl around, keep going down to the 6-yard line, and he got out of bounds. So that was the best case scenario for the Packers on that particular play. And with 6 seconds left at the 4-yard line, that play ends up being at the 4 with 6 seconds left. Aaron Rodgers gets a one-on-one ISO matchup for tight end Andrew Quarles, who had done nothing up until this point in the game. One-on-one with a linebacker, throws the back shoulder fade. Perfectly thrown football. All Quarles had to do was put his hands up, and the ball hit him in his chest. All he had to do was squeeze it, and he did, got the 2 feet down. And the Green Bay Packers, with 3 seconds left, have taken a 27-24 lead as Andrew Quarles drops the football. Unbelievable finish to this game. Miami Dolphins try some trickery late as they try to throw the football all around. It actually looked like there was a wall setting up on that play for Lamar Miller, but it wasn't to be, as the Green Bay Packers sneak into Miami and sneak out with a last-second come-from-behind victory, 27-24. Huge win for the Packers because I knew this was going to be a tough road test for them. I expected the Dolphins coming off this bye to give them everything they were looking for and then some, and that's exactly what the Dolphins did. They played a shoddy first half, then the Dolphins with turnovers and mistakes, but the second half was much better. They scored points. I did not like the late game execution. I thought that was one of the reasons they lost this football game, but besides that, I thought this Dolphins team gave it a go with one of the better teams in this league. And no moral victories here. I'm not saying that you should be excited about this loss because you should have won this game. However, you went toe-to-toe with one of the league's best, and you should feel good that, hey, if we can play like that every single week, road or home, if we can play that way, we should win a lot of games and find ourselves in a position to get a ticket to the dance when it's all said and done. If you're the Packers, way to go in and find a way. The gritty teams, the good teams, the great teams in this league, find a way to get it done. Even when you don't have your best, even when you're dealing with injuries, even when things seem to not go your way, the good teams find a way to get it done. And that the Green Bay Packers did. in this game, run their record to 4-2 on the season, keep pace with the Detroit Lions in this division who are already beating the Packers this year. So it's important to keep pace with this Lions team. Make sure that you're right there so when they come to your place later on in the season, you'll be able to take care of business and even up that record and try to see if you can take stranglehold of this division. Big win for the Pack as they get it done on the road. Aaron Rodgers finally gets a win in the state of Florida. That's going to do it for the review of Packs and Phins. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me because I've got plenty more games to break down in week number 6 in the National Football League. See you in a bit.